Good afternoon. Welcome to the PCM IBM customer-facing webinar about lowering operational costs and increasing performance with IBM Power, Cloud, and Storage Solutions. Today, I'm going to be working with Sterling Hinson. Sterling is part of our team here at IBM, at PCM, that covers the IBM storage and power systems from a technical perspective, and I'm the manager responsible for the IBM practice at PCM.
We're going to get into our presentation in just a few, but first, some housekeeping items. If you have any questions, please enter them in the webinar control panel. Just click the orange arrow to reveal the chat, and we will relay those to the presenters at the end of their presentation. Please fill out our survey and let us know how you did, as well as topics you'd like to see covered on future webinars. You should see that survey in your inbox later on today. For all things webinars, please be sure to check out pcm.com/webinars/archive for our weekly webinar schedule and previously recorded webinars for on-demand viewing. Including webinars, PCM also offers comprehensive expertise and proven experience in emerging, advanced, and legacy technologies. We leverage certified personnel, valuable partnerships, mature processes, and skills to achieve our clients' IT objectives and position them for future success. Contact us via our website at pcm.com or by calling 1-800-700-1000. And with that, we're going to get started with our presentation today.
All right, we're going to start with a little bit of high-level overview information about PCM. I by no means am going to read the slides, but I just want to make sure everybody kind of understands what PCM is and how we work with IBM as part of a key partner of ours. So PCM was started back in the late 80s. Of course, it is a publicly traded company that is headquartered in the El Segundo, California area. We are a large national reseller of both product and services across many brands. And we kind of focus on the North America space, including the US and Canada, and we have a presence in the UK. Key to a lot of the discussions lately have been, of course, around cloud and managed services. So we have multiple data centers around the country, and I have a map later on that'll show you that distribution of offices and data centers that are fully compliant with all the pertinent SOC and PCI and HIPAA compliance, including in those are the 3 in the US and the few in the UK. Again, this is a good picture of our offices. You can see that we have offices throughout the North America space, including the US and Canada, 40 plus offices, multiple data centers in multiple geographic locations, and then the presence in the UK. So, you know, what's really important here is understanding what the business environment is. You know, often as a reseller, we've just sold products because a customer called up and said, I need 10 PCs or I need a server. But really, in this world of IT and its challenges, we have to really be focused kind of on the business challenges that are set forward. Of course, you know, it could be across the board, but I wanted to kind of focus on 4. In particular, we always know that dollars are always a big issue. So everyone has, you know, budget constraints. That also leads to a lot of times there being constraints within the formally traditional IT department from a resource standpoint. So a lot of times, you know, your end users are asking for many new things, but the IT department budget, both for servers and cloud offerings and things like that, and along with people, is constrained. So budget constraints, resource constraints. So business users are a much more sophisticated population than they were in the past. You know, they're talking AI and big data and cloud and managed services. So they're no longer just needing us to help log on to their PC. They're needing us to be able to, from an IT perspective and an IT provider, be able to, you know, help them with their business challenges to make their jobs easier. And then, of course, you know, the ever-ending infrastructure replenishment process. You know, infrastructure needs to not just be specific to a certain application or a certain product level. It needs to be agnostic, and it needs to be flexible, so that you can do multiple different workloads that help with multiple different business needs. So, you know, IBM has positioned itself to help with many of these, and that's what we're going to discuss a little further. Thank you. Okay, why IBM? Well, IBM has, of course, is a company that has been around for many, many years and has many vertical expertise levels. In particular, on the IBM Power Systems, we often see retail, manufacturing, financial, government, storage across the board. A lot of these abilities are agnostic. So, you know, before, again, you often just worked on a certain server with a certain kind of operating system, but IBM tends to really want to draw into that agnostic format so they can stay competitive with the other companies within that space. Proven track record, market leader in the AI, and everybody's hearing about Watson, market leader in those spaces. And as companies begin to use AI for more and more things, IBM wants to stay current and as part of the the group of vendors that can provide those solutions. Just some interesting things, number one, Power Servers was number one in the global server hardware reliability. The Power system in itself is has been probably one of the best reliable platforms used. And even though it is, a little bit seen as not sexy and a little bit dated, many huge workloads for many of those niche areas that we discussed further up in this slide run on it: retail, travel, casinos. It's very reliable. And then finally, storage. IBM storage has kind of gone through sort of a rebranding, redesign over the past couple of years, and it's really become quite modern and very competitive with the bigger partners who do this, EMC, HPE, things like that. A lot of that is around their arrays, their software-defined items, being agnostic and being able to fit into any workload or as part of a larger infrastructure play. So really important. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is kind of twofold. This entire discussion is around infrastructure, including power systems and storage, but I'm going to cover the PCM, which we feel is kind of a niche market for us, which is our Power Cloud. It's our ability to take IBM workloads and host them within our own data centers. So you have that IBM reliability, but then you have the PCM managed services and data center infrastructure around it to really create kind of a unique cloud offering and managed service offering. So when I say IBM Power Cloud and managed services, we consume IBM hardware and software into our data centers, apply that with the resources that our PCM branded employees from admins and high availability expertise and 24/7 NOC within our data centers, and we create an offering that we call our internal IBM Power Cloud. On this, we can do power as a service. Within that branding, we have infrastructure service for production tests, dev, DR, things like that. We have 24/7 managed services for our infrastructure within our data centers and for infrastructure outside of our data centers. And then, of course, we have a full complement of HA and disaster recovery options based on what a customer's RTO and RPO needs are. What's interesting here is there are not many business partners that offer this. So if a customer has a power system box and they're looking to do something with it, we pretty much have whatever a customer may want. We could sell them a box, we could sell them cloud, we could help them with their labor augmentation, we can provide a DR instance if they want to keep production at their site. So, lots of options. The nice part here also is that power system can host different types of OS and workloads. So it can do IBM I, AIX, Linux, and Windows workloads. It's a very viable option from a reliability standpoint. So you can do various OS levels at the IBM I and AX and host various ERP packages. Many large ERP packages are hosted on these servers, including SAP, JD Edwards, etc. The biggest thing that a lot of IT departments have is that they're being required to be 24/7 and global, yet they don't have the resource to do that. Our offering allows us to have a 24/7 by 365 follow the sun support that we're watching those machines for you 24/7, alerting you when there's things that have to be alert. And of course, all of these offerings are customizable based on your business needs, your application set, and how you run your business. We're of course hosted in those data centers we discussed earlier that are very modern and compliant infrastructure, and then we're geographically diverse. Most of our IBM workload is in our New Albany, Ohio data center and our Roswell, Georgia near Atlanta data center. So we definitely have a good chunk of mileage between the two that allows us to claim the geographic diversity. Okay, I'm not going to read this slide because there's a lot on it, but kind of what this does is it takes you up the stack of what our offerings are, from managed services to replication to cloud production, and then finally it shows what infrastructure is hosting and the various applications, in this case JD Edwards. The key thing here is We can do a variety of things based on the customer's needs. Start with a little and add on. We can go full gamut and do production in one data center and a disaster recovery environment in another. But the nice part about this is it's all standardized managed services based on ITIL best practices, very compliant. All the compliancy that I mentioned earlier is a component of this. And then, of course, we can do the varying workloads. Again, the AIX, the the Linux, things like that. Now, what's interesting about this is a lot of times people do a financial comparison. And, frequently cloud will come in more expensive. But the ironic part about a lot of this is people do not assign dollars to their time spent. If you decide to host your production IBM Power System in one of our data centers, you no longer have to worry about upgrades and migrations and backups and all of those things that might be soft costs or secondary costs that when you really look at it all laid out, moving to this offering is probably much better because we have economies of scale. So you're gonna be proportionately at a lower price point over a longer term than you would by, still continuing to host internally yourself and all that. As my last slide, I just wanted to kind of run through a quick case study. Without naming the company, we have hosted within our center a high-end women's accessory retail company. They had a desire to run their warehouse management system on IBM I. It's a fairly popular option in the manufacturing and retail world due to a lot of data, and this particular platform allows you to hold data pretty intently and easily. They did not have the resources to continue to host that from a labor standpoint. So we typically, when a customer needs to maintain their premise-based box at their site, we can sell them a box, but a lot of times that labor pool that supports those IBM Power Systems is definitely an aging group. So we provided architecture to help design what they were going to do when they ordered their new box, but then we remotely handled the PCM monitoring and management of it, and then we also acted as a trusted advisor going into the future. So they found that the solution worked for them really quite well, and we actually were able to replicate this with other sites as we went past this initial engagement. So at this point, I'm going to transition the PowerPoint presentation over to Sterling, and he's going to get into power systems and storage in a little more detail. Thanks, Sterling.
Thank you, Peggy. Let's see if I can. Thank you. I wanted to take this time to introduce and talk about IBM's power systems. Many of you may be aware that IBM got out of the PC business some years ago when it sold off the Intel server line off to Lenovo, but it still maintained its power server line and continued to mature on that product line up until what we see today. Before, it used to be pretty much segregated, where we had System I clients running on on power systems, and we had AIX clients running on power systems. And then IBM, through the beauty of virtualization, were able to bring those environments together in a single footprint. And these are the servers that we are running today. So the biggest thing is being able to consolidate multiple workloads under a single footprint. And to your users, it seems like they're still running on the separated systems. So through the years, IBM, those power servers have gained notoriety, being their #1 in reliability. 5 nines, 6 nines guaranteed across the board, fully redundant, highly scalable. And then the performance is key. We're using the RISC-based chips that are IBM's own design, so you get more cores, more processing power, things of that nature. I mentioned the higher workload density, so you're able to consolidate more workloads on the boxes to drive the utilization up, so you can do more. And of course, the one claim to fame is the power system has never been a target of a virus attack. In the firmware, what we've done is we've included security patches to mitigate such nasty viruses as Meltdown and Spectre and things of that nature. And then, of course, the innovative offerings and the server technology for the performance and stuff is there. And I kind of included some of the software applications that can be consolidated from you guys that are on the PC end of the business or side of the business. You'll see the things from Nutanix. Nutanix can be run within the confines of this. Also AIX, Linux, Red Hat, and some other Linux distribution. Many vendors will put a chart up like this in front of their clients. And in most cases, we wouldn't bother with something like this. But however, you'll run into clients that think that anything but Intel is dead, but it's far from it. In fact, if you look at the Fortune 100 businesses, 80% of them trust IBM Power Systems for some of their most data-intensive and business-critical applications. These are, of course, some of the most recognized companies in the world, and they trust IBM Power Systems to help run and manage their businesses. So not only do a vast majority of these Fortune 100 trust Power Systems, but if you look at the top industries, their leadership also trusts IBM Power Systems to run and manage their businesses. From banking to retail, you can find Power Systems making a difference globally. And yeah, you may ask, why do these industries trust Power so much? The IBM Power Systems product team continues to fuel the innovation and extend Power's leadership in performance, scalability, and security, while maintaining our long-standing position as the most reliable service in the industry and protecting our clients' investments as they evolve their infrastructures. And these are just a few reasons customers continue to trust their mission-critical workloads to IBM Power servers. For clients that have mission-critical applications, those that want to deploy a private on-premise cloud, there is a need for hyper-availability. Today's always-on world requires resilient, mission-critical servers that deliver continuous operations. IBM Power Systems has been ranked as the most reliable for 10 years straight and is an industry leader for enterprise service availability. In fact, an ITC study showed that IBM's Power delivered the highest uptime, which is roughly 6 nines of any non-mainframe Linux platform in their survey. So that's pretty big. Another aspect of the reliability is the longevity of the solution and the investment protection provided by IBM. IBM is already committed to 10 years plus for a roadmap for both IBM I and AIX, in addition to the Linux operating system that are available on all of the Power boxes. To protect your investment further, you can deploy these new generation of servers without recompiling your existing applications from prior generations. Thus, you can just deploy and go, which allows you to effortlessly move workloads across generations of Power Systems without disruption. Lastly, the Power Systems once again ranked by IDC as the industry leader in enterprise servers, achieving the #1 ranking in combined 16 plus socket large systems, all confined in the standard rack optimized rack during with aggregate revenue rack. I'm sorry. The IBM Power Systems again was #1 in combined 8 socket large systems, a standard rack optimized in tower servers during 2017 with an aggregate revenue share of about 34.4%. So as I previously mentioned, the likelihood of a company being breached in the next 24 months is about 28%, and the cost of the average data breach is about $3.6 million. That's why all of IBM Power Systems are delivered with security by default. IBM believes security should be designed in and not as an add-on. So the IBM Power Systems has security built in every layer of the server, from the processors to the firmware to the operating system and the hypervisor in order to deliver the end-to-end security needed. And to boot, IBM owns this full stack and rigorously tests and delivers this end-to-end security. For delivery for your private cloud, you can rely on the track record that so many Power clients have come to trust. For example, we have Power VM, which is equivalent to the virtualization technology on VMware. It's the only hypervisor amongst the major competitors with no reported security breaches. And IBM reinforces security of cloud environments by only executing verified images across all layers from the processor to the OS. But it's not just about securing the infrastructure. Security in motion is also a critical component of maintaining that trust. Power systems protect data in motion with secured live partition mobility. And basically all that is being able to take a virtual machine instance and move it from one Power box to another. And they call that live partition mobility. So we even protect the data in flight as well from one target to another. Today, even more, you need servers that stay ahead of the workload challenges, new data sources, compute demand. So the IBM Power 9 processors, which is the latest processor today, not only drive the world's fastest supercomputers, but they are ready to accelerate a customer's on-prem enterprise. With 2 times the performance of a typical x86 Xeon processor, Power 9 allows you to do more with less, which in turn saves you money on your software licenses, et cetera, et cetera. Power 9 also delivers 2.5x more memory per socket and about 1.x more memory bandwidth per socket compared to the typical Intel platforms. So if you're already a Power customer running Power 8 servers, you can upgrade and enjoy the 2 to 4x memory capacity, the 2x I/O bandwidth increase, and a 40 to 50% more performance over Power 8. Again, this allows you to either consolidate more workloads onto the same number of systems, or you can reduce your software licensing costs by reducing the number of cores needed and pay for what you actually use. And for those customers on older systems such as Power 7s, you can lower your TCO by over 50% over a 3 to 5 year span by moving from Power 7 to Power 9. So this is just a summary chart of basically what I just went through in detail. If you can remember the 3 areas, you'll see where we have the performance per core, we're cloud ready across AIX, IBM I, and Linux. For those workloads for consolidation, I kind of picked SAP HANA as one of the hot buzz topics and areas where Power Systems plays well. The biggest takeaway from that screen is it is the only server where you can get up to 4 terabytes in a 2-socket system. That's 33% more than the x86 product offerings for SAP HANA. So that's huge. And then of course, from a Linux perspective, you get the performance per core and of course, cloud ready. Being easily integrated into what I would call the open source technology that Linux is a big time player in. So this is a high level overview of the product offering. We have the entry levels, we have the mid tier, and we have the enterprise. We also have the workloads for big data, and then of course the AI. The sweet spot, the majority of the offerings are in the mission critical workloads. So as you can see, it's just from our perspective, from a PCM perspective, a lot of our opportunities are right there. But of course, across the whole product offering, from the infrastructure all the way up to support for the next gen AI workloads, the Power Systems can accommodate. And I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. So you'll notice, you'll see, take, for example, in the entry level section, you'll see the S922. I wanted you to pay attention and just try to interpret what that means. So the first letter of that pretty much stands for if it's a scale out or entry level. So you'll either see an S or an E. Also, if it's a Linux only, you'll see a L. The AC, the one all the way to the right, that's an accelerated computing server. And then if I think I mentioned if it's an E, it's an enterprise, a scale-up server. The number after that is pretty much the power version. So we're on power 9, so you'll see power 9s across the top or across the board there. The second number is the number of sockets. So let's just say, take example, the S922. So the 2 there indicates it's a 2-socket server. If you move over, you see the S950. So the 5 indicates a 5-socket server, and you can carry that across. And then the last number is pretty much the height, how tall in terms of view. So the 922, the last number is a 2U server. You'll see the 924U server. So that helps you kind of designate what kind of server you're getting, some of the high-level features. Again, I wanted to reiterate the roadmap, 10 years plus for both AIX and I, and there's an updated chart that I should have included here that also shows Linux. But this is just to let you know that it's here to stay, not going anywhere. So you'll notice we have plans all the way out to 2024 for AIX and System I. So technology is definitely here to stay. This chart pretty much just indicates the operating systems supported between Power 8 previous version and Power 9. And the only thing you really need to be aware of is AIX 5.3 has been sunsetted, no longer supported on Power 9, and on the IBM I version 7.1 has been sunsetted as well. But other than that, everything else is good. So to summarize what typically moves customers, performance up to 1.5 times than Power 8. The technology leadership, I alluded, it's the only server on the market today where you can get up to 4 terabytes of RAM, single footprint. Supports the new PCI Gen 4 standard with up to 25 gigabits per second. It's cloud ready with Power VM, our native virtualization technology. And then, of course, security proven with the security fixes that's included in the firmware to prevent any type of malicious malware and nasty viruses and things of that nature. So the key takeaway, deliver industry-leading value and technology leadership, easily integration into cloud and any clients that have cognitive strategies. And then it's one of the most securest platform on the planet for your workload, for your enterprise workloads. And now I believe we will be moving into the storage discussion. So with the storage, IBM is the #1 storage vendor for software-defined storage platforms. IBM delivers a robust software-defined storage portfolio that addresses 3 main areas of concern for customers that ultimately lead to cost savings and by modernizing traditional workloads. The 3 main areas of concern that we found customers have is how agile, or agility, how agile is the existing SAN infrastructure. Efficiency, how efficient is my existing SAN infrastructure? And then lastly, how much control do I have? How can the complexity be reduced in my existing SAN environment? So IBM offers deployment options for the SDS portfolio, as any one of the components can be implemented using traditional platform approach or used as a service offering for private and public cloud options. And lastly, you can do it yourself using the approved and tested commodity hardware. IBM offers, so you'll see IBM Spectrum Suite offers a full line of services that complements and transforms a customer's existing infrastructure to support next generation applications such as AI, big data, analytics, and OpenStack. And just wanted to bring to your attention the flagship system is our IBM Flash systems. And it's a product line offering that offers increased performance, lower latency, that ultimately renders cost savings that can be reinvested in new workloads. I believe we all can relate to this. Every client faces challenges with how they use storage in their environment. For example, they may be trying to combine legacy workloads such as databases, new workloads developed in containers, or implement cloud native applications in all the same environments, but then struggling with traditional storage that can't support all of those capabilities. And clients are faced with the dramatic growth in data from a myriad of sources, but also declining IT budgets. In other words, more data and of course less money to work with. So what do? Not storing the data is not an option either, because the data can be turned into a competitive advantage, and other companies will be storing their data and using it. So as a result, clients need storage systems that deliver additional capacity, are faster than traditional systems, so the data can be analyzed more quickly, and are easier to manage with almost no effort, and to do all of that at the lowest cost possible. So what IBM has done is they thinking about these issues. The solution requires a modern data storage and management. So clients are definitely looking for storage that delivers the ability to support hybrid multi-cloud environments. You'll go into many of the customers' environments now, and it's not just one cloud, they have multiple clouds. This means supporting public cloud environments, private cloud environments as well. It also means a reliable infrastructure. Remember, businesses of all sizes are building mission-critical applications on top of our storage, so the reliability of the storage becomes critical to their business, as does the need for high availability, as the business can no longer afford any downtime. It means ultra-high levels of performance delivered by end-to-end NVMe solutions that deliver the high performance that enables the analysis of vast volumes of data to deliver business advantage. And lastly, it means multiple solution choices to meet requirements of businesses of all sizes and different workload requirements with different cost needs. This is why modern storage solution is paramount to a business today. So IBM Spectrum virtualized storage architecture is designed to increase productivity, eliminate the guesswork, and increase the reliability with proven hardware supported by an unprecedented list of software to address such business demands. So to summarize, IBM's storage systems are built with Spectrum Virtualized, which is pretty much the secret sauce, the base software that runs on top of this. It improves the efficiency of your storage. It increases the utilization up to 2x. It increases the amount of data you can store, easily enabling up to 2 petabytes in the 2U form factor with a 5-to-1 data reduction pools, or that's compression. And up to 1 petabyte in the 2U is achievable with nothing more than a hard compression on the flash core modules. It improves your performance so you can get more done with your data. And lastly, it optimizes your storage by moving data to the most appropriate type of storage based on the policies you define with our control suite, or via AI with EasyTier. So this summarizes the possibility, and the key takeaway here is the flexibility of the offering. So you can get to traditional appliances, You can run as a service, or you can do it yourself with virtual machines on approved hardware, all managed through a single pane of glass. So this is key. So you don't have to hop through different control management software, all managed from one single pane of glass. So this pretty much summarizes the product offering. Now, what you don't see on here is the the high-end enterprise disk system, such as the DS8000. Should have included, but that's a beast in its own. With Spectrum Virtualized, this is a sweet spot for it. So you'll see the V5010E and the V5030E. Those are kind of like the entry-level lines. They can be used as all-flash arrays or support a hybrid setup with flash and spinning disk. You'll see the number of drives and the capacity supported. Then moving up, this is where we get into some of the all-flash arrays, and this is the IBM's sweet spot. NVMe, capable from end to end, and if you kind of Google what NVMe is, it's just a high-performance protocol that has become very popular lately. It's not only supported within the arrays, but there are also adapters. There's some SAN infrastructure that supports NVMe as well. So outside of the array, you can also do it with certain devices. And as long as you keep that protocol consistent amongst those devices, the speed and the performance is phenomenal. So IBM's arrays is one of the first to market that supports that protocol. And as you can see with the V5100F, that's kind of like the entry level sweet spot. And then you move up the chain with the V7000 and then the 9110 and the 9150. And I put the drives and the amount of capacity that can be supported. So you're covered covered from an IBM perspective. So I just kind of wanted to run through some of the features here. The Storewise line is pretty amazing. It provides enterprise class abilities in the systems ranging from the entry to mid-range, and the line extends to the enterprise with the Flash 9100. What makes this even more attractive is that all of these systems run the Spectrum Virtualized software. The systems which run Spectrum Virtual all come with Storage Insight, which provides AI predictive analytics and proactive monitoring. This advanced software comes at no additional cost to you. It helps solve multiple client pain points and provides consistent uniform management. The dashboard provides an at-a-glance indication of anything that might be amiss. So just to be clear, the systems in the Storewise and the Flash 9100 line can simultaneously run many features, but if we choose poorly, there'll be a price to be paid, and the price is performance. So don't expect an entry-level system to do the work of a mid-range or enterprise. So just wanted to set that precedence. Ultimately, there are two big questions we need to address in order to help our clients determine the right system to acquire. Number one, we need to understand the features they need to simultaneously use. And then lastly, we need to get a handle on how much performance do you realistically need. So we're going to look at these features. So right now, I'll let this roll here. All the systems can deliver features such as VMware, container integration, multi-tenancies, 3-site copies. You see it there. Then as we move, you'll see the V5030E, 5100, V7000, and 9100 can provide additional features such as data reduction pools, clustering, hyperswap, which is replication technology, and encryption. But keep in mind that the V5030 can deliver data reduction pools, and it's all software-based. there'll be a performance penalty associated with it. So once again, the color of these bars doesn't mean anything other than these blue features and abilities are available on the system. Lastly, we look at the 5100, the 7000, and the 9100, where we'll see a number of these additional advanced abilities. These features are ideal for clients seeking to highly future-proof their systems, as well as assist them in undertaking the modernization and transformation. These systems support IBM custom FlashCore modules, which provide penalty-free compression. They also support NVMe flash drives, SAS SSDs, and in some cases, SAS HDDs or hard disk drives, which can take advantage of data reduction pools with hardware systems. These systems also support NVMe of host connections. And then lastly, one final note that if you purchase a V5010E and somewhere down the road you have a new corporate initiative that absolutely requires encryption or data reduction, you don't need to buy a new storage array. You can non-disruptively swap out just the controller heads of the V5010 and swap them in with the V5030E. And you can do this without ever just interrupting the operations, and you'll have a V5030E at the end. So that's huge. In-place migration. As I mentioned before, IBM is the #1 company when it comes to software-defined storage. This is the breadth of the software. I'm not going to go through each and every one, but the key takeaway here is this software can be purchased with arrays, or you can do piecemeal where you can purchase the software, load it on your own virtual machine or appliance, and still extend that capabilities out into your enterprise. So you can do private, public, hybrid cloud setups, cloud services, you name it. So big takeaway here is flexibility, and customization, being able to craft a solution that addresses your specific needs. I just wanted to run through a few pricing examples. As you can see in this first example, we see a best practice solution using a small amount of flash to accelerate hot data while depending on easy tier, which is pretty much IBM's automated tiering solution to place data on the appropriate storage tier. The V5010E gives customers a very low entry price, but provides a way to increase the performance capability if needed. So as you can see, roughly 18.5 terabytes for less than $11,600, which roughly works out to be about 65 cents per gigabyte. And so for the configuration of the V5030E, which is sized with nearly the same physical capacity, but since the array has enough resources to enable data reduction, the effective capacity is approximately twice the amount of the V5010. So you can see there, you get about roughly 23 terabytes for about 17,300, and that works out to be about 76 cents per gigabyte. So this has proved to be one of the lowest all-flash array price points on the market. And it's probably one of the most, most popular choices amongst customers when it's for all-flash arrays. And then lastly, for clients who wants the best possible performance, we have our end-to-end NVMe solution built on IBM's own FlashCore modules and the StoreWise 5100. All the innovation found in FlashCore, better performance, better endurance, higher density delivered for nearly the same price as the commodity SSDs found in our E model. And just like the 5030E, the 5100 allows clients to grow simply by clustering a second unit for a linear performance gain. And lastly, the 5100 is storage class memory capable. So when the latest storage media is released, we'll be ready. So as you can see there, for roughly 115 terabytes, works out to be $150,000, and it works out to be $1.31 per gigabyte. So very high value, lowest NVMe price point on the market, and you'll get the enterprise performance that you need. So this is a summary. As I mentioned earlier in the storage presentation, IBM's method to their madness is they want to help customers that have the traditional application workloads such as Oracle, Exchange, SQL. They want to be able to help you modernize those applications with their solutions so that you'll be able to save money. And then the money that you save, reinvest it back in our technology to help you with these new gen applications such as Docker, Kubernetes, all related to containers, OpenStack, being more receptive to the open source market with Linux and things of that nature, MongoDB. All of those require some heavy dollars to invest in. And if we're able to take those dollars that you're pouring into keeping these applications running and modernizing and things like that, if we're able to take those savings and port it over to the new application workloads, the better a customer will be. So I too will bring this to a close with a case study. Here we have a large communication company where initially they had silos of storage platforms, not only from IBM, but other vendors. And each one of these platforms covered a different set of management interfaces, storage technology, software, and things like that. So it started to become an administrative nightmare, which burned through the operational costs and things of that nature. So they came to us asking, hey, from an IBM perspective, what can you do to help? At the time, IBM's platform of choice was the V9000s. The V9000s have been since been replaced with the 9100s, but at the time, the V9000s all-flash arrays were there with Spectrum virtualized. And what we were able to do was to be able to migrate, but also be able to virtualize a lot of that storage, the disparaging storage that they had behind the V9000s, and have it all managed through a central pane of glass. So customer was able to perform their data migrations. And for those storage arrays that they just wanted to extend the life on, they were able to maintain those in their environments. But the key was to be able to centralize that management through one single pane of glass and be able to extend characteristics such as thin provisioning, deduplication, compression, not only to IBM, but also to the other vendor storage arrays was huge. So like I said, simplified data management, we lowered their operational costs by controlling all of the storage asset through one single pane of glass. Ended up being a huge win in terms of dollars saved, recognition, things of that nature. So, and to this day, this company is still adding on and enhancing that same environment. So to summarize Peggy's earlier slide, PCM, been doing the IBM thing for at least 20 years. We have the nationwide coverage. One-stop shop for all your IT needs is not only IBM, but we have other strategic relationships with other manufacturers. We have over 1,200, I think that number has increased, but we have under 1,200 plus enterprise and inside sales account executives, tenured and certified IBM engineers on my team, such as myself. Peggy alluded that our network operations center is 24/7, 365, follow the sun. Data centers in Roswell and New Albany, Ohio. And we also have a full ServiceNow portfolio that does development, integration, and hosting. So when you think of your needs, please keep us in mind. Here are a couple of my key people on my team. You'll see their contact information and email address. We also have a robust IBM software brand. Si-eun is the business development manager that runs that. So for all your, we probably need another session just to cover IBM software, and we may get that scheduled. But any other IBM software opportunities, yeah, please reach out to Si-eun. And with that, I'll bring this presentation to a close. Peggy and myself really appreciate your time and look forward to working with you. Thank you.